Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my out-of-box review for the HGUC Barzam. So finally, the long-awaited Barzam making its debut here in the HGUC line, and it's looking pretty awesome. I gotta say, this is a really fun kit to build actually, because it's so different. It's quite a different design, so just obviously the engineering of how they made the kit had to be quite different as well, and that was kind of refreshing. I mean, I gotta love the Iron Blood Orphans Gundams, but those IBO suits, you know, a lot of them are kind of monotonous. If you're building a lot of them, they're very similar. And other kits as well, I mean, just kind of your standard Origin Zaku kits and other just kind of normal Gundam shape kits. They're all good and well, but this one is quite differently shaped, so it was really fun, interesting to build. So that's one thing that I really liked about this kit. It's also just a very nicely engineered kit. I mean, aside from it being very uniquely engineered, it's also really nicely engineered. It works really well. You guys will see that here throughout the review. And so I just want to say a big thank you to MindFenix Hobby Store, of course, for sending me this kit to share with you guys. If you're living in Australia, do check out that link down below. The other thing that you guys will probably like about this kit is that it's very light on the stickers. It has very few stickers on it, and the stickers that it does have are like barely even noticeable. In terms of accessories, it's kind of just got your kind of basic stuff, but it's actually quite good. I think maybe better than basic, I would suppose. It does have some open hand options, as you're seeing on the kit there. I've got the open hands displayed on it, which look really nice. The hands on the design are quite large, so it has a really kind of interesting look to it overall. I mean, it's just a kind of an interesting design in general, but I think especially with those big hands on it and that oddly shaped head, and especially that very oddly shaped torso, which I'm not really a big fan of. If there's one thing that I don't really like too much about this kit, it's that weird shaped torso. I love that the pelvis part of it, which is actually kind of like all built together. So it's kind of weird in that way, but we'll look at that here in the articulation. Overall, color separation, the engineering of the kit, it's all really nice. So let's get into the accessories here. Let me just point out some of this stuff for you. So we've got two beam sabers and beam saber effect parts. We have like beam saber handles here in the like arm guard. If you can see up inside there, you can see there's a beam saber handle inside there, but that's just kind of like a fake one there just for display. We just have these separate ones here that you'll actually use for the kit with yellow effect parts. We have the Vulcan pod for the head. Red sticker on the side of that. Otherwise, it's very simple, just fits onto the head. I'm anxious to see if this is going to be able to fit onto the Gundam Mark II. I'm not sure. It looks like maybe not, but I'm going to try it here shortly. But anyway, it just fits onto the head of the Barzam nice and easily there like that. We do have just some regular holding hands, optional hands for this, for holding the beam rifle and the beam sabers. And then we have the beam rifle, very strangely shaped beam rifle. It does have a sticker there for the camera on the front and back of that top part. The handle does fold out like so. So you're kind of meant, you could hold it like this, like a normal beam rifle, but it would be looking kind of like extra weird. You're actually kind of meant to like hold it on the side here. And then it has this part which can move up and down. This is kind of like the retracted kind of energy cable, I guess, that hooks onto the shoulder. Then we have this other part that you can swap that out for, so you just pull that off. There's a polycap inside here. You just plug that into that. There we go. And then that can move up and down. So this is going to attach onto this gray part here on the shoulder. Just plugs onto there nice and easily. And to be honest, it's maybe a little bit kind of loose. I guess that's better than if it was like really too tight and hard to take on and off, but it's kind of loose on there. It does have the same detail on this design, so I guess if you had two of the kit, I mean, it wouldn't exactly be the right shape, but you could attach something onto this arm with it if you just used like just this piece, and then like just regular polycap, you could attach something onto the other arm as well, I suppose. Alright, so to talk a little bit about the articulation, the head there, for the kind of mono eye for it, there is a clear pink part, but it's quite dark just because it's surrounded by this very dark blue plastic. It's kind of really hard to see. I think it would have been nice if they would have given us just a foil sticker for the eye. I mean, I know That's not really great, but it would have been more visible, I think, than a clear pink piece. I mean, a clear pink piece will work really well when the kit's all painted, because you can paint up inside of that piece or something, and then that will work fine. But just straight out of the box, that clear pink is pretty much non-existent inside the head. So the head articulation can go up to there, down to there. That Vulcan pod doesn't really hinder the articulation at all, whether that's on or off, so that's nice. You can turn the head fine, and that doesn't really get in the way. The shoulders are quite interesting. They'll move kind of forward and back a tiny bit, but not really. But they can move up very far. And then that gray part on the side of the upper arm there kind of gets in the way with the shoulder armor, but you just kind of have to move it in a way to like tuck it up inside the shoulder armor there. And you can get the arm up perfectly vertical like that. So no problems with that articulation in the shoulder. Otherwise the arm moves normally, just rotation at the top. Double joint at the elbow, which is not going to give you a full bend, but more than 90 degrees, so that's pretty good. The wrist is just on a ball joint, but then we have this bend here in the arm. That's, again, just kind of show off the beam saber handle inside there, but it is a little bit of more articulation in there. In the waist, now here's where it gets interesting, because as I said, like the chest, the torso, and this lower section here are kind of built all together. So there's no rotation here, unfortunately. But we do have a little bit of a stomach crunch, and I mean a little bit, it is there, and it's kind of a really similar mechanism to like the other Revive kits, how they have like the part, like L-shaped part that goes forward and it actually plugs into like the front of the chest with a ball joint there. So I guess we can rotate it a little bit side to side like that, which is pretty nice, but still it would have been nice to have a little bit more rotation going on here. I think that rotation that you're seeing there, that's just kind of like bending on the polycab, and I guess it's sort of like a faux turn to the side, sort of. Just nice color separation here. That little red bit there, that's a sticker. Also should point out here on the back of the head, which is now covered by the Vulcan pod, that gray bit there on the back of the head, that's a sticker. Here on the side of the legs, those are little red stickers here. So again, like I said, the stickers are very, very minimal, just tiny little red bits here, and then gray on the back of the head. I'm really surprised that they even gave us a sticker for that. That's the kind of color app that I wouldn't expect to even have a sticker for at all. But nevertheless, we do. So again, just like I said, just really nice detail here, all the mechanical detail inside of there, the nice color separation here on the crotch piece. The legs are quite interesting here. So you can see how those bend out like that. That whole section there where the legs are connected can move back and forth. It's hinged, the hip joint, then the legs can move out. Perfect, totally straight out like that. No problems with that at all. The lack of skirt armor makes that very easy. Fronts all the way forward, no problems there. Back is going to be a little bit hindered by this back skirt piece, which is just static there. Doesn't move at all. That's actually kind of like connected to the torso. There is some rotation at the top of the leg. Just enough, but enough for what you would need, I guess. Nice double joint there in the knee, revealing lots of mechanics inside there. No like separation. It would have been nice if maybe like this part here, like is kind of the knee-ish part, was like separate and would move separately, but it kind of doesn't. The only thing that really moves on this whole like lower leg chunk is this part here on the back of the leg. That thruster will move up and down there. The foot will move forward and back, nice and far, plenty far there, and then we do also have some toe articulation as well. So articulation of the foot is really, really quite nice. Side to side, not going to be that much, but enough, again, I think. And then under the foot, full detail there, so no empty spaces underneath the feet. So as you can see, the mobile suit itself all is really, really quite nice, just in terms of its design. The backpack here, you are able to remove this. It has that kind of standard 2-peg backpack connection there, so you could put different backpacks on this here. You can also see there's also that slot there. That's for putting on the Revive Gundam Mark II's backpack onto this. So here I've got the Revive Gundam Mark II. You can just slide his backpack off, slap that onto the Barzam, and there you go. You can make your Barzam with the Gundam Mark II's backpack. Now, I did actually want to take this a little bit further and try a little bit more part swapping on this. Actually, what I wanted to try to do was putting the Barzam legs on the Gundam Mark II, and it's not really going to work just because of the way the Barzam legs are designed. You can see the polycap sits kind of low, like above where that's supposed to plug in. There's quite a lot of legs still above that plug-in, and there's not a lot of space in here. So what you'd have to do is just modify this to maybe just add something to make this peg a little bit farther down so that you can actually plug this onto there. As this is, you can like sort of get it on to that peg, but it's not really going to work, and I can't really seem to get them both on at the same time. But you can imagine it maybe looking sort of something like that. I think anyway, it's not really going to work. And just to answer the question of whether the Barzam's Vulcan pod will fit on the Gundam Mark II, I have to admit I actually totally forgot that the Revive Gundam Mark II comes with its own Vulcan pod, so there's really no need. But just to answer the question, I did try it, and the Barzam's Vulcan pod does not fit on the head of the Gundam Mark II, but it has its own, so again, there's really no need. Anyway, posing this kit is super fun. As you can see, the articulation works really well with this kit. Just the fact that it's a kind of very like bare bones design. It doesn't have like skirt armor, and it's just kind of very simple, and its kind of design doesn't have a lot of stuff like sticking off everywhere here and there. Even though there are some kits that are like that have really fantastic articulation too. But to be honest, like posing this kit really feels like it's a Revive kit. You can really see where like Bandai has taken the engineering that they've really mastered in the HG Revive kits that have been coming out recently over the past year or so, and put that into a really awesome kit like this, where even though this is not a Revive kit, it has a really similar feeling to it, to be honest. It's really nicely engineered and really fun to pose it, and it's just really fluid, really simple to get some really awesome poses out of it as well. In terms of normal stuff that you would expect with the high grades, like a lot of missing color apps made up by stickers or not, or just completely missing, or seam lines on the kit, this kit doesn't really have a whole lot of that. I mean, as we already talked about with the stickers are quite minimal, the color apps are pretty much all there. And as far as seam lines go, there's really not a whole lot. There may be, I think, a couple little ones here and there, but again, that's pretty standard for an HG, but it would be great if it didn't have any, but there are going to be a couple, but really not too bad. I think it's nothing really worth noting. One thing that I did notice while building the kit is that a lot of the gate placement on this kit is, and that's what I mean, like the nub marks on it, the gate placement is not that great in a lot of parts. It's a lot of parts have like really huge thick gates in like kind of awkward areas. So like if you're the kind of person that is like quite new to Gunpla or hasn't quite mastered like getting your nub marks to look really pretty and you're not painting, then you may not want to get this kit because it's a lot of dark plastic, and those like white stress marks from removing nubs and things like that, especially those really huge thick nubs, is definitely going to show on this kit if you aren't a little bit more experienced, I guess, with removing nubs. Obviously, just sanding and painting is going to be the best bet, but if you're just building this straight out of the box and yeah, haven't quite got that skill mastered yet, then you may want to wait a little bit because it's not really going to look that good. I mean, it's places on like on parts where, you know, you'll have like parts with like a little bit of like a beveled edge, like right on the edge of it, because it's supposed to be like a panel line on that, and then you'll have like a really huge gate on that you're going to have to sand, and it's going to be really hard to preserve that really nice beveled panel line edge on the side of that part. So that's what I mean, just like places like that, or just places where it just kind of doesn't really make sense to have this huge fat gate, but I guess that's just how they had to do it. So that is pretty much going to do it. It's a kind of more obscure design that I think, as far as like the design goes, it may not really appeal to everyone. It's kind of got some like weird aspects to it, but as far as a model kit goes, this is a really fantastic kit. I've got to say, this is definitely one of the best HGs to come out this year for sure, I would say. And I mean it's just all, that has something to do with personal taste, to be honest. But like I said earlier in the review, this is a design that is not really particularly one of my favorites. There's aspects of the design that I really like. For example, I really love the design of all the legs and the head. The torso is not really my favorite, and even the arms, I'm not really too into that. But I can still come away from this build really enjoying this kit quite a bit. So it's definitely worth checking out. 1,500 yen for the price of this. Definitely worth it if you guys get a chance to pick one up and try it out. I mean, again, if you're like me and there's aspects of it you don't really like too much, you can try just kit bashing it with another kit or something like that. It could be pretty fun. You could even try matching some parts with like some IBO kit or something like that. I mean, all the connections are basically the same. You just kind of have to swap out some parts and things like that, especially the legs. So also, I just should also mention that I noticed, or I mentioned earlier when talking about the articulation, that it was kind of a little bit disappointing that there was no rotation at the waist. But actually, I think the way that they've designed the waist, it kind of works fine without rotating there. Like I showed you how it kind of has a little bit of like a kind of bend and twist kind of motion there. So like instead of a rotation, it's a twist kind of in that torso section. It actually works fine. So I don't consider that lack of rotation to be a negative at all, because as you've seen, posing this kit is really no problem at all. It's actually a super easy kit to get some really nice dynamic poses out of, so I always love that. So thank you guys as always for watching. Again, thank you to MindFenix Hobby Store for sending me this. If you guys still have questions, comments, leave those down below. Do you think we'll see any other like P-Bandite variants of this kit, for example? I don't know. It would be great if we would see some other different variations of the Barzam, but those would be getting into a lot of new parts, I think, in terms of what they can do with this kit without having to make a lot of new parts is probably pretty limited. So I don't know if we'll see any kind of variation to this kit, or even any kind of like metallic or clear color like Expo exclusive version, but it's possible. We'll just have to see. Anyway, if you guys get a chance, pick up this kit, check it out. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.